Hey you guys, it's your girl Cassandra here from Pecan Porch Boutique with another video. I am starting on a vintage mid-century blanket chest this time, y'all. And I have a specific plan for this chest. So I picked this up over the New Year's holiday while everybody else was celebrating the New Year. I was out hunting furniture and I found this on Marketplace. So we're starting from the bottom up with this project. So here you see me giving the bottom of it or the underside of it a really good coat of DIY's black velvet just to freshen it up. And then of course, it never fails. I always get a piece that has a wonky leg. So I'm going to take my wood glue here and just stick it off in the crack of this leg, tape it up, and that way the bottom part will be done and we can get started. So once I get the leg all glued up and taped down, I'm going to let it sit overnight, and then I'm going to come back with that same black velvet and I'm going to paint the feet, the sides, and the top in black velvet. And in a few minutes you'll see I'm going to stand it up right so you can take a look at it. So here is a full-on view with it standing upright. I personally thought that it was in pretty decent shape. I mean, because y'all, I have grabbed some stuff that after I get it, I'm like, what in the world? But I thought this was in pretty good shape. There were no major issues with the veneer. I mean, it has some scratches, as you can see on the top here, where maybe someone sit something. But for the most part, nothing major, I didn't think. Now, there were some issues going on the inside on some of the shelves, as you'll see in a minute. And I don't know where that came from, but I have a plan for that. So we're just going to keep on rolling. And so here's the issue on the inside. Basically, it's that middle shelf there. It looks like, I don't know, somebody has something sitting in there. I don't know if that, really don't know what that is, but kind of on that middle shelf and then a little bit on that bottom shelf. But for the most part, I don't know, it wasn't too bad. But I have a plan for that later on. But for now, I'm just going to whip out my crook cutter with a little bit of water on my damp rag, and I'm just going to give it a good clean. Y'all, I just noticed how ashy my arms are. My goodness, I need to go find me some lotion or something. No, you know what? Skip the lotion. I need some Vaseline on my arms. That's horrible. But anyway, y'all, this piece is not really heavy. It's really light. A lot of the older mid-century pieces are very light. They're not really made out of heavy wood. So that's why you can see me here with my ashy arms. Kind of dragging it around, sliding it around, because it's really not heavy at all. But here is my plan, y'all, for this piece. I am so excited. I have these beautiful Alice in Wonderland decoupage papers from Made by Marley. And we are going down the rabbit hole with this piece, y'all. I have been looking for a piece to use these papers on, and when I came across this, I knew it was going to be the perfect piece. So in this collection, you get 12 sheets of decoupage paper. So, I mean, that's enough for me to do this piece and another. And these pieces are very robust. They're not the thin tissue paper like some of the others. And I am going to be using these to create a magical world, just like Alice had in her adventure. I'm going to start out by creating some molds using various IOD molds and amazing casting resin. I'm going to be using the Lock and Key mold, the Fleur de Lis mold, the Roses mold, and the Toadstool mold. And if you've never used resin, now there's a lot of resins out there. I've only used amazing casting resin. It's really easy and it's perfect if you're needing to make a lot of molds. So it comes in two parts. Part A and Part B. You get 3 little mixing cups and some stirring sticks. But I purchased from Amazon these silicone cups. I like those better because you can kind of pinch them. They have this little point on them. And then I also have some silicone stirring sticks. But what you do is you just take and you mix equal parts of Part A and Part B, and you quickly start to stir. You want to make sure that it gets clear and all the cloudiness is gone before you start pouring. But make sure that once it's clear, you immediately start pouring because you only have a quick 10 minutes before this starts to set up. I really love these silicone cups and this silicone stirring stick because once you're done and it hardens, all you have to do is just peel out that leftover mix and toss it away. But you just want to pour carefully into your mold. Try not to over pour, and you can take your little stick and kind of move your resin around to make sure you get to all the points that it needs to go to. Once it's cool to the touch, once all of your molds are cool to the touch, or the resin is cool to the touch, you can then just start to pop these right out. So you'll see that they came out really good except one, and that I did not take the time to move my resin around, and so one of my toadstools kind of got a little jacked up, but that's okay. You'll see how I'm going to take care of that in a minute. I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to trim off those little edges. You can also take a little bit of sandpaper if you want to, and you can kind of sand it off a little bit to make it smooth. But I'm not throwing this mold away, y'all. I'm going to keep this, so I'm just going to trim these off and we're going to keep right on going. Okay, now we're getting to the good part, y'all. So we're going to start out by placing the molds. I usually don't do this, y'all. I usually paint my molds first, but today I'm gonna place them first. And so this is all about placement and it's personal preference. So I'm gonna start. You can see all of the ones here that I created. So I'm gonna start by placing them around the piece. So I'm gonna start at the top by placing them on the drawer, and then I'm going to take the other molds and I'm just going to kind of frame the piece out. So I'm just going to be kind of framing them out around the sides because I want to save the inside for my decoupage paper. So here we go. And I have my trusty blue tape on the side. Y'all don't go nowhere without my blue tape. Okay, so now I got my molds placed all around the side, up along the drawer, a few kind of in toward the middle of the piece, but now I can kind of stand back and look at it, and you'll see as this progresses, I kind of needed some more of this or a little bit more of that. So you'll see as this goes along that I do add a couple more molds, some more decoupage paper. But here's a good chance for you to stand back now and kind of take a look at your piece and kind of see, do I kind of like the way this is going? Do I want to add more? You know, so it's just a good time to assess. I picked out the papers that I'm going to use, and so now I'm going to start ripping them up. Not like ripping them up, but you know, kind of ripping them around the edges so that I can place them on my piece. Now, usually I would use the wet method with the little brush and some water. But again, these papers are very robust. They're not as thin as the typical tissue paper. So I'm able to just rip these with my hand. I'm just kind of ripping them around, not completely too close to the image. I want to have a little bit of an edge so that I can blend into it, but I can go around just with my hand, no water needed, and just rip these up. So I'm starting with this pretty bunny here, and then I'm going to rip up the other pieces and get them ready for placement. Now that I have all of the images picked out that I'm going to use, and I've torn around all my edges, it's time for a dry run of what it's going to look like on my piece. So that is what I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to be taking a little bit of the dollar store tape, because y'all know that dollar store tape don't really hold nothing. And in this case, that's good. But I'm going to be taking a little bit of the dollar store tape, and I'm just going to kind of be placing my image on my piece just to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like once I actually decoupage it down. And once I get ready to permanently place my decoupage pieces, you'll notice that I do not have to paint the background white, because again, these papers, which are made by Marley, they are a little bit more robust and a little bit thicker than the normal tissue paper. So I can just use my Mod Podge, which I'm going to be using Mod Podge in this instance to lay my decoupage down. So I can just use my Mod Podge and lay my decoupage right into the Mod Podge without having to paint the background white. Okay, so with my dry fit all done, Here is a look of what everything is going to look like once I get it permanently placed down. So I'm kind of liking where it's going right now. I can't really see anything that I want to change, but as I go on, you'll be able to see that I did add a few more things. But for now, I'm liking the layout. And now it's time for permanent placement, y'all. So again, because these papers are a little bit thicker, a little bit more robust, I'm going to be using Mod Podge, which is a little bit of a thicker product too. And I'm just going to be putting it right down on my piece. I'm going to be taking my decoupage, laying it down into the Mod Podge, and smoothing it out with my hand. Very simple. And I'm going to do that to every piece that I have on here that is taped, because I want to get that on here permanently. You just want to make sure that you get a smooth layer of a Mod Podge laid down, and that you get your decoupage paper laid down into it and smooth it out all the way to the edges, because you want to make sure that there's no lumpiness under your paper with your medium, because that can cause wrinkles. I bet y'all were thinking, well, dang, is she gonna paint the thing? Yes, yes, yes. It's time for paint, y'all. So I'm gonna start out by using my little paint pixie brush, my little French tip, and I'm gonna be using DIY's crinoline, and I am going to be stippling on all around my decoupage paper and all over this piece with crinoline, and I'm going to be doing 2 coats of that. And my main objective here is to start to camouflage the edges of the decoupage paper, because one thing, you don't want your decoupage paper to look like it's decoupage paper. So that is what I'll be doing. I'll be giving it 2 coats all over with DIY's crinoline. So after 2 coats of stippled on crinoline, this is where we are. I also was able to kind of stand back and look at the piece, and I decided I wanted to add a few more things. So I did add a few more lock and key molds. I added a couple other pieces from the decoupage sheets, and I think now that is all that I need to add. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it's looking good, looking very bright, and now we're getting ready for our next step. Now, I probably should have gave y'all this warning in the beginning, but this is going to be a very busy piece, because you know Alice had a lot of adventures while she was in Wonderland. So this piece is going to be adventurous as well. So here you see me now. I'm going back in with some petal pusher by DIY, and the goal here is to take this beautiful blue and trim around all of the decoupage paper and all of my molds, but not really a complete coat. So I just want to kind of give it kind of a skim coat so that you can still see some of that crinoline coming through. So here's a real-time version, and you can see just kind of, I'm using a smaller brush just to kind of get in and around my letters, in and around my molds, and I'm not really painting. I'm just kind of skipping the brush along just so that I can leave these little gaps so that, again, the crinoline can show through. And this is what it looks like after one coat of that petal pusher blue that we use to kind of skip around our decoupage paper and around our molds. I'm liking it. I'm really liking it, y'all. We are getting close to ending our adventures, but we still have a little ways to go. And now I want to add a couple of stencils. I said it was going to be busy, so I'm going to be using this peacock stencil that I don't know where I got it from, but I'm just going to be using a little bit of, again, the black velvet to add some framing to the body of the piece, the inside body. And then I have another stencil. It's called Hobbilicious Distressed Diamond Stencil, and I'm going to be using a darker blue. It's called Blue Iris, which is also by DIY. And I'm going to be framing out the very edge of the piece. So now for some of those transition areas that may still be a little bit visible to the eye, I'm just going to take some StazOn ink and a couple of stamps, and I'm just going to go over those areas so that they're not so obvious. Once I'm done with that, y'all, I am going to show y'all the finished piece. But first, let's take a look back at what this piece looked like when we got it. Just kind of plain Jane, right? Had a few issues. Nothing major. You'll also see what I did to the inside, but take a look at where we came from, y'all. Our adventures are over, but I had so much fun. I used some of Recycled Treasures decoupage paper in buffalo check and a little bit of that same peacock stencil to camouflage whatever was going on the inside of this cabinet. But the real showstopper, y'all, is on the outside. Take a look at how this turned out. I am so in love. What a great adventure in Wonderland, and look what the outcome was. So here I've painted all the molds. I have given the piece 2 coats of liquid patina to seal everything up. I have even added those cute little brass bunny pulls to the top drawer. So I think this piece just turned out so pretty. I hope you guys do too. If so, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, maybe you'll think about subscribing to my channel. But for any of the products that you saw me use today, you can find those on my website at www.pecanporchboutique.com. That's with the exception of the Made by Marley decoupage papers for Alice in Wonderland. If you're interested in those, leave me a comment and I'll tell you where you can get them, and you can go on your own adventure as well. Until next time, thank you guys so much for coming along with me. I appreciate it. And as always, until next time, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye-bye.